The following program is a Town of Colonie television production of the William K. Sanford Town Library.
Hello, I'm Colonie Town Judge Peter Crummey, and welcome to Benchmark. We'll explore a variety of issues involving our legal system, our justice system, and how they intersect with the citizens of the town of Colonie. Today we are truly fortunate to have as our guest Albany Law School Dean and President Alicia Ouellette. And Dean, thank you very much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
You have been on a whirlwind since you've become our Dean at Albany Law School. We're all so proud that you are there serving in that capacity. The law school is on the forefront of so many things today, not only as a law school and generating attorneys, but also for the capital region as well. And it's really fun for all of us to know that you graduated from Albany Law School in 1994 and now have become the first alumna as a dean and president. It's just a striking symbol of the greatness of Albany Law School and its Board of Trustees to choose you for this capacity.
Thanks.
And you've been on a roller coaster ever since, I'm sure, as well. But I know that the town residents are very interested to know some of your background too, as to how this started. And of course, you went to Hamilton College,
Sure.
Graduated, then Albany Law School in '94, and I know you were editor of the Law Review, which is really considered the top position for a law student in any law school across the United States. And for you to hold that certainly lets us all know in the legal field the capacity that you bring to anything you do. When you graduated from Albany Law School, what was your first position?
I was lucky enough to clerk for Judge Howard Levine on the New York State Court of Appeals, who his office is in Schenectady, and so that was a 2-year clerkship where I was able to serve at his elbow and work with him on cases, preparing him for argument, working together on opinions. It was the best, absolute best training that any lawyer could have. Just a tremendous judge, a huge intellect. I learned so much from Judge Levine. I'm very, very grateful for that.
Well, certainly your credentials and your personality at Albany Law School allowed that to happen for you. The Court of Appeals chooses only the best and the brightest to serve in that capacity. And obviously Judge Levine was very fortunate to have you as well. And he continues to have a presence in the community. I've been on panels with him since he's now off the Court of Appeals. He's certainly aged out at age 70.
Right. So there's the rule that judges have to retire at age 70, statutory senility. So in the decades since he's been out, he's been at Whiteman, Osterman and Hanna. He does a lot of arbitrations, mediations. He's very, very busy in his professional practice and continues to be a large presence in the community.
And you know what I like about him too, and of course he's not here to defend himself, but he talked about, I was on a panel with him once when we were together seeking nominations for the Court of Appeals, and he was on the panel and talked about how his name had been submitted numerous times before he was actually chosen, basically telling those in the audience, you don't have to hit a home run the first time in order to be successful in life. And that's one of the most important messages I've received from him so far. And you had the benefit of receiving so many different messages from him, working at his right hand. And after the 2-year stint with the court, what did you do then?
So I spent a short time in private practice at Whiteman, Osterman and Hanna, where my judge ended up going.
Right here in Albany, New York.
Little parallel there. Terrific firm, does great stuff. I was in their health law practice. I had 2 little babies at the time, and had my husband was a medical school resident, so he was basically flat out working at St. Clair's, and the private practice life was tough. I decided that if there were an opportunity to go into state government, that might be a better balance for me. So I went over to the Attorney General's office and worked in the Appeals Bureau as an Assistant Solicitor General, and I loved that work. I did all appellate work, handled cases in all kinds of appellate courts, including the Court of Appeals and the Second Circuit. So that was a great job. I loved what I was doing as an appellate lawyer.
And eventually your alma mater called you back.
That's right.
And you came back to our Albany Law School. When did that happen, and what did you do?
It happened over the summer in 2001, and it was a surprise. I was very happy. I just handled I had some big cases and really was loving what I did, but I got a phone call. There was a sudden opening in looking for someone to teach in their skills program, and I got a call saying, would you like to do this? And I always knew I loved teaching and had at some point thought this would be something I'd like to do, and I had to make a pretty quick decision. Right. Was this something that I'd be willing to take on? And I jumped, and I'm glad I did. It has worked out beautifully. So I taught in the lawyering skills program, which is a program we're very proud of at the law school. It's our first year students come in from the first day classes. They are in law firms. They meet clients and they do client counseling, they do research, they do writing, they do negotiations, and so I could bring my practical experience to bear in that class, and I got the opportunity to teach, and it was tremendous, and I love teaching, and I right now I'm not doing a lot of teaching, but I will, as soon as I can, add teaching back to my repertoire.
Well, I know that your reputation as a professor at Albany Law School is wide, varied, and well celebrated. My oldest daughter, Carol Elizabeth, also went to Albany Law School while you were there teaching and also serving as a dean of students and in a variety of other capacities as well. And you've been well celebrated. It's hard to be well celebrated by the students and administration and all alums at the same time, but you've put it all together for us.
Sometimes.
Well, it's great.
I do my best.
And Albany Law School itself, it's a treasure in our capital region.
Absolutely.
My grandfather graduated in 1910, wow, after he graduated from Georgetown in 1908. And then I had the good fortune of going to Albany Law School, and then my oldest daughter, who's now practicing in the Albany area as well. And I look at it, I believe that law really is a symbol of civilization. And not only do we have law in the area, but we have a law school. And we are training attorneys who then become lawyers. And of course, in the state of New York, there are so many attorneys from Albany Law School, but not just attorneys. I understand in speaking with you earlier that there's no less than 300 sitting judges who are Albany Law School graduates.
Right.
And that only shows the caliber of the student that you have and how you shape them and how you teach them. And you continue that great tradition today. And so much is happening now in the field of law education.
Right.
And you've been thrust into the middle of it, and you're grabbing it by both horns and moving it forward. And we read about Albany Law School every day now in the general media about all of the progressive things that are happening at Albany Law School. And it's not only the clinics, and I do want to hear about those, and your relationships with the Albany County Bar Association and all the various courts, but even a relationship with the University at Albany now, which many people are very excited about and need to know more about. And I know that Albany Law School has started an affiliation of some type. How would you describe it, and what are the positives for all of us?
So we are officially affiliated with the University of Albany, and I'm happy to be able to say that. It was a lot of steps to get to that, including having to have the ABA bless the affiliation. And
sure.
So to the extent that we talk about it as a relationship, the parent, the ABA, has said that we can go forward with this. The affiliation it's a partnership. Really, it is a two institutions that are very different, one that's large and public, and one that is small and independent and private, joining together and saying, how is it that we can make each other better? And there are so many ways. It is a partnership that runs very deep, starting with recruiting students. It's in both of our interests, the university's interest and Albany Law School's interest, to bring the brightest and the best students to Albany and to train them. And you talked about the judges and sort of the noble profession that is law, and the university recognizes that having a law school available to its students it allows it to offer new programs and new opportunities for its students who want to serve in public service. And you know, Albany Law School has this great tradition of public service. We're ranked first in the country in public service and government law. So we're able to use that historic strength and strengthen what the university offers, and so we can recruit students together. We have lots of new programming. We have programming around law and criminal justice, law and public health, law and business, law and entrepreneurship. The university is starting a new college in cybersecurity, homeland security, and disaster preparedness. Each of those things, cybersecurity, take as an example, huge amount of law involved with cybersecurity. So for some technical folks, they want to learn about law. They may not want to go to law school and get a 3-year degree, get the JD, but they might want some courses or a master's degree in legal things relating to cybersecurity. We're able to offer that to them. We are also able to say, hey, you're going to need lawyers who are specially trained in cybersecurity. The Albany Law School is too small to hire a whole bunch of new faculty to teach the specialty stuff, the how to hack or how to write code or whatever it is that cybersecurity experts do. But with the partnership, we can create programs that benefit both schools, that bring new students into the area, and it's just a growth area. Around the innovation space, around new businesses, there's all kinds of stuff going on at the university. Anyone who's starting a new business needs to talk to a lawyer, or at least a law student. So we're looking to create clinics where our students can provide free legal services to people who are creating businesses, mom and pop businesses or tech businesses. So you write an app and you want to make some money from it. Well, there's things you should do to protect your intellectual property, to set up a business, to make sure you're doing it all in a legal way that's going to benefit you later on. If you're hiring employees, you need legal consults. Well, those are expensive, but our students can provide those services, learn how to practice law, learn how to talk to clients, while we serve this, grow the community and help develop the community. So the affiliation with the university allows us to do all these things, and it's, it goes on and on. History, human rights, international law, international recruitment, many touch points, and we're just thrilled with the possibilities. We're starting to really put some sort of meat on the bones of the affiliation. We've got the agreement, we know how it works. Now we can say, let's do this program, here's how it's going to work. It's just going to be a tremendous boon to the capital region to have this close relationship between Albany Law School and the University of Albany.
And some of the classes and the crossover involve the nano school as well, right? It's all part of it.
So the nano school is separate from the university, but we do have a relationship with them. We have a class where our law students sit with nanoscientists and learn about bringing, sort of the art of the deal and bringing products to market and tech transfer. And so it's a different way of training lawyers, right? Because if lawyers are trained in the old days, probably when you went to school, or certainly
very old days,
grandfather, when the dinosaurs were roaming, or your grandfather, it was all you learned was how to think like a lawyer. That's what we talk about. Law school is about that. So it meant you sat in a room, you learned law, but more you learn how to argue both sides, and we know that if law were just in books, then we wouldn't need lawyers. That what lawyers do is they think differently and problem solve. We still do that, but when you get out into practice, you do much more, right? You have to be able to talk to the people who you serve. You need to be able to think strategically. You need to be able to manage businesses. You need to be able to, if you work in the healthcare industry, you have to be able to have conversations with doctors and nurses and medical records keepers. We're able, through this affiliation and through some of our new programs, to have our students do that while they're in law school, which means that when they get out in practice, they're miles ahead of other law students, other graduates. They are ready to be immersed in the profession. And it's tremendous to see the power of the law degree and that training that they get at Albany Law School.
I think so too, and you're reshaping, as you said, the way law school was traditionally presented. And I found when I was in law school that many of the things that I valued the most were the experiences I had in jobs while I was in law school.
Right.
And so I had to go outside of the building in many cases to see how it fit and see what it meant, to even see what a deed looked like, to see what legal documents, petitions and complaints, which I wasn't shown even at the time. And now you're providing a forum and a format for learning by doing.
Right.
It's cutting edge legal education. You've brought Albany Law School to the forefront in that, and it's being well received. And the cybersecurity, talk about cutting edge. I mean, we've all read about just recently Apple versus FBI,
right.
And all of these different activities. I, as a town judge, I'm routinely asked to execute search warrants on cell phones.
Are you?
Routinely.
Right.
And which I've always advised when I, speak to students today, and I tell them about, I'll say to them, it is a smartphone. Sadly, it's smarter than you are.
Right.
And it keeps all of your information, and GPS locates all of your photographs and all of your conversations. And delete really doesn't mean delete. So you just need to understand what kind of equipment you're using, and prosecutors oftentimes find it the best way to get a conviction.
Sure. Which makes sense. And business owners have to think about, there are organized crime bodies trying to hack in, and they go, may go through a small fish to get to the big fish and steal the data. And we saw it with some of the big breaches that have gotten a lot of publicity.
You're not kidding.
And healthcare organizations need to be very vigilant about protected information, and it's just going to continue to grow. We want to own cybersecurity law. We want to be the place to come to study that, and we wouldn't be able to do that without this relationship with the university, but we're doing it, and we have a cybersecurity and law concentration. We need the students to start coming and populating it, but we'll go find them.
That's right. Yep. And you own other areas already, though.
We do.
You mentioned in passing just a moment ago about a recent designation by an international service that recognized and named Albany Law School as a #1 government law school in the country. Can you elaborate on that for us a little bit?
Sure. So it's there are a number of different groups that rank law schools.
Sure.
And, one of them is Pre-Law, which publishes a bunch of magazines, and so they measured the number of programs and the number of jobs that students get. So very valid metrics, very real. How many courses can you take? How many students get jobs? And we came out #1, ahead of some schools you might think Georgetown or American in DC, because our students are getting jobs. And that's of the things that we're doing where you just feel so proud. number one day where we all feel proud as members of the law school, the faculty, the staff, everyone is commencement, because there's nothing better than watching a student walk across the stage and getting the diploma,
That's right.
other than the day the student gets the job. And we get those calls and we get the sticky notes on our doors saying we're getting jobs, and a lot of the jobs are jobs. We have students who are getting jobs in big New York City firms. We have students who are getting jobs in the government. We have students who are getting jobs in prosecutors' offices, and we see, one of the great things about being in Albany is we're the only game in town. There are, we're not competing with 5 other law schools in the same street, or, you go to Chicago, there's actually 3 law schools in one block. In Boston, there's 6 law schools.
That's
in
right.
New York City, there's 5 or 6 law schools. Those students are all competing with each other. Our students they're here, and so you mentioned you go downtown, and if you're not an Albany Law School grad, people say, well, why?
Right.
So that it's a real benefit
Absolutely
for
is.
us. And it's not, you don't have to stay in Albany if you go to Albany Law School. We have graduates in every state except for South Dakota, so we're still working on that one. But so 49 states, and I've had the real wonderful opportunity recently to travel around the country and meet our alums, and we have these great groups out in San Francisco, down in Florida. I was just in Massachusetts and Boston yesterday, had lunch with a huge group of really excited, loyal alums who say to us, send us students, send us graduates, send us, we've got internships, we've got jobs, and San Francisco in particular, they're really hungry for our grads, and that is, knowing that makes this job really fun, because what we're doing is creating opportunities for students to come and have these really spectacular careers.
Well, you've made it memorable in every city that you've gone to. I had the good fortune of joining you and some other graduates in Washington, D.C. Lately for our admission to the United States Supreme Court.
Right,
which
congratulations,
was
Judge.
a very moving experience, and I like the photo of the both of us on the steps of the Supreme Court. Very powerful admission, in my opinion, and the law school actually coordinated it. I was very lucky to be part of it. And at the same time, we had an event with Washington, D.C. alums, and who are now practicing down there.
Right, including Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack, the longest standing member of President Obama's cabinet, and he came and he probably spent an hour and a half talking with us. He said, "Ask me anything." He was friendly
great.
and talked so much about how the law school gave him this opportunity and changed his life.
That's exactly what he said from the outset, and you can. That was the order of business for him. First was Albany Law School was the law school that gave me the chance, and that's why it was important. And he certainly has had a distinguished service in Washington, D.C., but his commitment to Albany Law School is, in my opinion, probably the most important thing that any attorney can say in connection with public service or private service, that they recognize that that's where it started.
Right, and it goes beyond the people in service. Megyn Kelly is one of our graduates, and she, as most people know, is in the media, has been kind of going at it with Donald Trump lately. She's coming back. She's going to be our graduation speaker this year, and she, on her show, will frequently talk about her experience at Albany Law School as having launched her career. She did she worked at a big law firm out of law school, but then went into media. She wouldn't be who she was today, and she says that. She's the first one to say that, and we're just so proud of her as someone who has really taken the opportunity she had at law school, the things she learned, her ability to communicate, and really turned it into an extraordinary career.
Well, that's the product of Albany Law School, and certainly she's on the cutting edge of news and media at this point, and she's the graduation speaker. I'm sure that the students are excited because she's relevant to right now.
Right.
She's involved in many different things, and will be for the rest of her professional career as well.
Yeah.
So it's a nice opportunity for our students as well, and that she also recognizes the value of Albany Law School. How about that? And you know, so many people who live in the capital region and in our town of Colonie have received services not just from lawyers who graduated from Albany Law School or appear before judges who graduated from Albany Law School, but you have our students out in the community in a variety of clinics and programs where they're providing pro bono services to constituents and to citizens, which help them in their everyday lives. And I know that and some students are down in Albany County Family Court, some are in Albany City Court doing landlord-tenant work. You mentioned a veterans clinic as well. Could you elaborate a little bit on some of those clinics and opportunities so that potential students could know what they might be getting involved with if they go to Albany Law School, and reminding our viewers of some of the things that Albany Law School does for everybody else?
Sure. It's very much part of our mission to serve the community, and our students are very engaged in providing pro bono services. They do literally thousands of hours of free work around all the issues that you mentioned. We have some of our pro bono projects bring people to campus. So we have an Elder Law Day where we have 200 senior citizens come for the full day. It's back to school day. We have classes, we have one-on-one meetings, we have speakers, we give lunch, and it is Senior Citizens Law Day. It grows bigger every year. People come back. We have Veterans Law Days where students partner with volunteer lawyers, and they sit around the law school, and veterans and their families come and get free consultations with lawyers, and many times the lawyers will pick up the case. The commitment is only to sort of do information and say, here are the next steps for you, but many times the veterans walk out with the services that they need. We have projects where the students go out into the community, as you talked about. So one of them that you were involved with was with the Albany County Bar Association.
That's right.
We had a help desk for the Albany County Family Court, and we turned that into a whole help center with the help of the chief administrative judge, so that there is a room where there is someone who's sitting often with Albany Law students. Albany Law faculty also volunteer down there and provide guidance and support for people who walk into family court, which can be a very frightening experience. And we'll walk with them and go into court, sit into court, whatever services they need. The list goes on and on. We have an rural law project where folks go out into rural areas in the western part of the state and the northern part of the state. An elder law project where the students go and they go into nursing homes. And so if someone is listening, if a member of your audience is listening and says, oh, we don't know anything about how to write a will, or what is all this about medical proxies and living wills, or what's going on around something, I would encourage them to call the Pro Bono Project at the law school. You can get it, the number online, and our students will come and do educational presentations, and we partner with a lot of community partners and other lawyers if they actually need legal representation. So it's something that we care very deeply about, making sure that the law school is a good citizen in the community, and our students are great citizens. They're inspiring. Some of these students are so committed to this pro bono work and to making a difference in students' lives. And another way that they do it is through our law clinics, which is a little different. Our law clinics are actually a law firm right within the law school. So it is practicing attorneys who are our faculty members, and real clients come, and that's who their lawyers are, and they work with the students. We've got an immigration clinic, we've got a family violence litigation clinic, we've got a health law clinic where the students and the faculty spend a little time over at Albany Med, work with people who are getting medical help and their families around whatever issues come up. Is it a fight with the insurance company? Are you getting evicted because your child is sick with cancer and you have missed, are you being threatened in some way? And our students do the representation for these things, and it is fabulous educational experience. It's no matter what a student does when they graduate, if they've done one of our clinics, they know how to be a lawyer. I mean, they may go out and represent, work in Wall Street and represent big banks, but it translates. The skills that you learn in our clinic are unforgettable, and these experiences of serving a client and making a difference in someone's lives. It's why we became lawyers. It's what makes you wake up in the morning and say, here's what I want to do. I want to make a difference in people's lives. So you're able to do it during law school.
Well, the student service component has been very well advocated by you and well received by the community. And I can tell there's a difference between, over the years, about the desire of students to get out and to start practicing and to help in any way that they can. And you have them in every component that I can think of. I was contacted recently by Mediation Matters here in the Capital Region. They serve a 7 or 8 county area. And they asked for a meeting with me over at the town court, and they asked for permission if they could bring some Albany Law students with them to start training them in mediation. Absolutely.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Yep, and I think it's great that law students see the value of mediation too. We don't have to litigate things all the time in order to make people's lives better and to find justice in the end.
Right.
Which is what we really want to do.
Right, it's problem solving.
Right.
That's what lawyers do, right?
Right.
We problem solve, whether it's on a big scale by writing policy and as lawmakers, or on a case-by-case scale where you're fighting with your neighbor, and we're going to help you figure out a resolution, and all of that matters.
Well, Dean, I'm at the law school routinely in connection with a variety of programs that the law school is sponsoring. Most recently, I was there for the Admitted Students Day. I have the good fortune of serving on the National Alumni Association with a tremendous group of graduates who are all advancing our school in so many different ways. And we were down there then just to meet admitted students. What a neat program that is, to bring admitted students in and welcome them, and to encourage them to make an election that Albany Law School is a place to be. And having graduates come down there so they could actually see what does one look like,
right.
And is that kind of what I thought it might look like. There was a full house.
Yeah. It's exciting, and those days are great. Those are students who are thinking about law. They've already applied, so
Right.
we give them the chance to see our community, because community is so much a part of who we are. You are a great example of someone who's on campus and really engaged, but there's hundreds of other folks like you. And when we ask for panels, we have a student who's interested in pick a career, sports agency, so we will put out the call, and we'll have 5 or 6 alums show up and say, here's how you get into this, and here's how you do this work. And so that day we try to just provide those opportunities to really let people get a taste for it, because we want them to go pick the right law school for them, and we hope that if they feel that sense of community and it's a good fit, we hope that they'll come. We are trying to talk to students who maybe aren't thinking about law. I truly believe that this is a really great time to go to law school, and that law is a great career. I've children who are in their 20s, and both of them hear it from me, although I haven't convinced either one yet. I really believe that this is a great time to go to law school. The jobs are there. The job satisfaction is high. There are tremendous scholarship opportunities. I mean, I think it's this is a good time to go. And
so do I. Well, and I'm so happy that I went, and I do think so. I have 5 children. My second oldest daughter was decided after she graduated from Boston College. She was a math major, and there were job openings for math majors 5-6 years ago, and she was immediately was hired by Mercer, which is an international healthcare advisory group, and she went there. And her first week, I was honored to get an advanced degree, and of course I always wanted her to have a JD. But I let her know that I believe that it would be helpful in the corporate world if she had an advanced degree, and so that should be her next thought process. So she's on the phone with me, and she was at her desk at the time. It was probably 7 o'clock at night. She works 7 to 7. And I said, honey, go on the website, the corporate website, and go to the board of directors. And I said, who's the chairman of the board? Oh, and it was a female. And I said, go to the end of her name, honey. Does she have any initials after her name? JD. I said, have a nice day. She's elected to pursue a master's in business administration from BU at night. But the thought is there. And, I found that having a law degree helps in so many different facets of life as well. And it doesn't mean you have to be in the courtroom one day. Many attorneys don't set foot in a courtroom, but somehow they are an integral part of our community and civilization. And it's a very important role for all of us. And you're doing a fabulous job at Albany Law School. Where's your next trip taking you? What's the next stop? You're probably on the road again, maybe crisscrossing the country.
I think I'm not even sure where we're going next. I live and die by my phone. I know we're going back out to California.
Great.
We're doing some alumni events out there.
Perfect.
We're going to Long Island, the western part of the state. So it's pretty much every week we're on the road a little bit, trying to keep those touches and make sure that if there are opportunities for our students to get jobs, we're going to find them. And it's a great community. It's great to see. One of the things that's so fun is seeing where people have taken their degree.
Right.
I met a guy yesterday, a fabulously successful graduate of the law school, who never, like you said, never set foot in a courtroom. He came out and he went into wealth management and financial services, and offered, to take us to host at one of his homes the next time we're in town, and he's grateful to the law school. Never really intended to practice, but the skills, and I always ask, are you glad you went to law school? Absolutely. He's been out 30 years. Yeah, use it every day. The sort of confidence, that ability to think, the ability to problem solve. Another young woman was at the event last night. She graduated in 2012. She went out. She wanted to work somehow in the energy industry. She was really interested in energy. She ended up getting a job with an oil company. She says they use some ethanol so she can tell her mother that it is environmentally friendly. But she's doing. I mean, she loves her work and she's. What she does is give advice, and she's an in-house counsel, so she's not in court. She advises the company about how to do things and how they can do them legally and stay out of trouble, and just loves what she does. And there's story after story after story like that of people who go out and lead lives, and they have tools that you don't always know that you're going to do what you do. People will go out and they'll be in a big firm, and then they meet a client, and our mayor of
Albany City.
Of Albany, the city of Albany, is an
Right.
Albany Law grad who had that experience. Went out, thought she was going to practice in a big firm forever, but then ended up going in-house, and then did very well in a company that was acquired, and she's been able to then translate it into a career in politics. And I mean, none of us know
That's right.
where we're going to end up after we graduate from Albany Law School.
And you know, I know that the town residents, many of them know that actually one of the founders of Albany Law School actually lived in the town of Colonie.
Is that right?
And his house was on Route 9 in Loudonville. And when they started to expand and widen Route 9 back in the later part of the 1800s, they moved that house that he owned, and they moved it up to Cherry Tree Road, which is a street in Colonie, New York. The house still is there, but it was on Route 9, and one of our founders, who was also a Court of Appeals judge and a U.S. Senator, and had the good idea and notion that Albany should have a law school as well. He was a Colonie resident.
Nice.
And as an interesting aside, his daughter was in the Ford's Theater in the booth with President Lincoln when he was assassinated. So there's a whole story to tell there. But just to know that the founder of Albany Law School lived in the town of Colonie is a nice way to bring us to this very important point of recognizing you and what you're doing for our Albany Law School. As you can tell, it's a symbol of civic pride, and we're so lucky that you are at the helm, and every day there's something new that's happening there, and you're in the front of it, and we're very fortunate now as the 18th Dean of Albany Law School. We're very lucky to have you. President and Dean Alicia Ouellette, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Judge.
I'm Colonie Town Judge Peter Crummey, and thank you for joining me on Benchmark.